I wanted to show you all just some of the fun things in life. So this here is a box and it says keep dry on the side. Now what's inside of the box, I'm not kidding, is a submersible pump for a pond. Let's open the box so you can see more inside. Yeah, I know, I'm holding the phone. It's a pond and waterfall pump. This is a submersible pump. Now you may think, well, this box is generic, it's not really for this particular product. Think again. This is the APP-9000 pump. This is APP-9000 on the box. Keep dry. Also, I'm 99% certain that those Aquascape, the Anjon Monsoon, and this are the exact same thing from the exact same manufacturer. It's kind of like when you have Amscope, Amano, and everybody else. I'm 99% certain every one of those microscopes comes from the same factory in China. Pretty sure the same is true here. Look at that! So I got two filters now. Check this out. I'm redoing all of this. I'm pulling up the boardwalk so that I have proper space. I couldn't wait to redo the boardwalk to hook everything up. So there's tubing everywhere. That's gonna be fixed. So this over here is an Ultima 2 20,000, and that is a 10,000 gallon per hour pump sitting in there. Look at that fucking beauty right there. And this is all gonna be routed nicely later. Because the old one is an Ultima 6,000, which is not enough for this pond because it's a 9,000 gallon pond. And now I have a 6,000 gallon filter, 40,000 one. The main problem you have with this piece of shit, I mean, I gotta redo a lot of this. Look at this bullshit, by the way. This was the guy didn't get the right, this is the funny part. So the person who owned this house before me, really nice guy, great guy. He was a septic tank repair person and installer for a living, right? He did septic tanks. This is what he did to make this shit fit. So there was like 4 of these things, a bunch of these that I took off. This is going to be changed to tubing once I get the pieces in. This is a T thing, but it has tape around it because he didn't get the right size. This is the most brittle tubing I've seen in my life. Anyway, I'm ripping out literally all of this shit. But this is an Ultima 2 6000, and it has a 5,000 gallon per hour pump. And the problem with the 5,000 gallon per hour pump is this thing has 10 feet of head pressure, which means that cheap ass pump in there is likely doing 3,000 or 3,300 gallons per hour, which means that this thing has not been properly backwashed in years, which means that I'm gonna see a giant amount of shit fly out of this filter the moment I hook it up to that, or I'm not, which means I have to open this thing up and manually remove all of the bacteria covered filter media, clean out all the little pustules at the bottom, and cover myself in fish shit while I'm at it. Yeah. My fishies are very, very spoiled. They're going to be getting the best of the best. I'm also going to be ripping out this cheap-ass generic, whatever the fuck that is, Chinese UV thing, and putting in 2 nice UVs. Of the type that, with the bulbs that don't die after 3 months. These are about to be some really, really happy fishies. Alright, so I had to take this out to take a look at it because this looks very familiar to this. So what do you see in common with this Anjon Monsoon 5200 pump, which is a 5200 gallon per hour pump, and the Jebao 9500 gallon per hour pump? You might notice that they look literally identical to each other, as if they're almost like the same thing. As if this does not have 4,500 gallons per hour more pump than this. This thing is supposed to pump almost twice as much as this. Bro, this is the same fucking pump. Now, one of the things that I learned in selling a lot of stuff that I bought from China, or just buying stuff from China, is that very often you'll have one manufacturer that manufactures something for a bunch of different companies. Like one instance of this is with microscopes. So you have Amscope microscopes, and then you have Amano microscopes that get sold on microscope.com. And one of the things you may notice is if you buy like an Amscope SM4TP and an Amano 2300S, it's the exact same fucking microscope. Like slightly different branding, maybe a different color on the container, it's a coat of paint on it, but it's the exact same thing. And one of the things that I remember doing back in the day is they all started using this cheap ass trinocular mount for the microscope camera. So I figured out who was making them for everybody, and it cost only $10 more to get the good mount, like $10. So these look like they're the same thing. And I haven't seen any comparisons online between them, so I thought I would try and do one. You're probably not going to hear that because of all the wind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, which is hooked up to that waterfall over there. This is all opened up because I'm redoing everything, like just about from scratch. I got a nice new toy over there. It's the Ultima 20,000 to supplement the 6,000 I have over there. This is going to that waterfall, which has 4 metallo filters. It's got a black, a green, a blue, and a gray in that order. And I have a UPS out here that's going to tell me how much power is being used. I don't keep a UPS out here, but I'm just putting it here because it has a nice little load indicator over there that will tell us how much power is being used. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to take this 5,200 gallon per hour Anjon Monsoon pump and this 9,500 gallon per hour Jebao pump, and I'd like to do 2 things. First, I want to see how much power each one takes. And the second is I want to see what the waterfall looks like with each of them, because I'm 99% certain this is the same pump. And even if they do output a different amount of water, I'm 99% certain that they did not actually make a 9,500 gallon per hour pump. What I would imagine they did is they took this pump with the exact same shit, and they just decided we're just going to overclock it to be more gallons per hour in spite of the fact that it's not made for that, and then die. But there's one way to figure it out, right? And the one way to figure that out is going to be to hook it up. Because if you buy the Anjon Monsoon, I do believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I think their 8,500 pump, I think their 8,500 gallon per hour pump is something like, it has a 3-inch output. And this one has a 2-inch. So I'm pretty damn certain that they just fucked you. Which again, to be clear, with the price of this thing, they're selling this for like $150. I have no right to expect 9,500 gallons per hour for $150. But if you're going to say it does that, I'm going to see if it actually does, because I think it would, at the very least, be good to finally put this myth to rest, since I haven't seen anybody go over Jebao. So let's get started. I tossed the Anjon Monsoon back in the water. By the way, I know that they have these cutoffs so that if the water goes too low, the pump stops working, so that you don't drain the pond. This is my low-tech version of that while I'm waiting for that to arrive. So I got my boulder, yeah, and that sets the height of the pump. Okay, so this is a pretty consistent 285 watts for the Monsoon 5,200 pump. And let's just take a look at what it looks like on the other side. So this is what the waterfall looks like with the Monsoon 5,200. I gotta straighten that thing at the top too. So many little things to fix. So little time. We're gonna go back and see if the wattage is steady or if it's changed. And because I've taken so many planks off over here, I'm just gonna walk around. Still a steady 285 watts. Now I'm gonna unplug this and plug in the Jebao. The Monsoon is out of the water, and the Jebao is in the water. Let's plug it in. The wattage is 618. I might have to eat my words here. Let's see what it feels like. You've stabilized at 216, 616, stabilized at 616. And let's see how far the water is coming out. I will let you judge. Is this pump twice as powerful, or does it just take twice the amount of electricity? Back to the Monsoon, 286 watts, and that's the flow. Somebody's gonna ask, why is there a pillow in my backyard? And my comment is gonna be, yes. Okay, so we filled up a garbage pail. This is as scientific as it gets. This pail doesn't fill up more than 1/3 of the way because it's not watertight. But we're gonna measure how long it takes to empty this pail with the same hose in the same place and the pump in the same position for both pumps. So let's get started. This is very scientific. Now this pump is rated for almost twice the gallons per hour, and it also takes more than twice the power. So if this thing does not, somewhere around twice as good as the other one, we send this shit back. 3, 2, 1. Whoa. Oh, put the pump back. Oh, that's staying. That's fun. Okay, now we end. Now for part 2 of our scientific test. The Jebao lasted for about 10 seconds, which is 9 seconds more than me. And we're going to plug in the Monsoon 5200. Now this is not going to be a perfect scientific test because when you're doing a scientific test, all the conditions have to be the same. And the last time this whipped around to spray the camera room. So in order for this to be a perfect scientific test, I'm not going to hold this time.
Oh, yes, you are.
I'm gonna break my phone. Okay, let's go. 3, 2, 1. Once it gargles, that's the end. Okay, gargle. Let's see how much. I think that was longer, but one way to find out. So there you go, the Anjon Monsoon 5200, which costs about double the Jebao APP-9000, is half the power for about half of the electrical usage. They look the same, but apparently looks don't mean everything, which is how I got the 2 million subscribers. That's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something. That is the review of the Jebao APP-9000 pump. You can buy this thing at Walmart for $150. $150, which is insane. Which means I expect this thing to die sometime in the next 2 weeks, which is exactly what I would deserve for paying $150 for a submersible pump. That's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something. See you all in the next video. Bye now.